Oh, you knew there was no way in hell I was going to stay out of this one. When the hell are we going to snap out of this and stop doing this? Stop doing this to our little girls, to our daughters, to our women. It's beyond ridiculous. I cannot believe, unless you've been living under the rock, you know that if you're watching the Olympics, they allowed basically a man to beat up a woman. Yes, that's right. I said it. Trans, whatever. Now I can hear it now. You're anti-trans. No, I am not. What I am against is somebody that was as a biological man beating up a woman. If you watch this fight, it's like, what is the argument? The argument is so stupid. We've been arguing about this for years now. And one side saying that there's no biological difference. If a man has gone through the transition and he's done all this stuff, the only way a man won't have an advantage is if they catch him at puberty. Right now, my daughter's 9 years old, and if she fought another 9-year-old little boy with her skills, she could beat him. I guarantee it. I work over there at the gym, and I see it. There's boys her age there, and she would do really well against them. But once you start going through puberty, my son is 12, and he's a shorty like me, so he's not much bigger than Della, and he would hurt her very badly. Why? Because that strength gap is starting from puberty. So if you've gone through any kind of puberty and you're a man, you're going to have thicker bone density, you're going to have more muscle mass. There's a bunch of strength differences. So when it comes to physical strength and all other ways we can be equal, my wife's a better shot than I am. She's better at math than I am. She's probably better at video games than I am. When it comes to like things that we can do equally, but when it comes to physical, my wife could run up to me and throw her entire body into a punch and hit me, and I'd probably just stare at her. Actually, she did knock a dude out once. You got him. If you hit somebody right in the right spot, it's not impossible for a woman to knock a man out. But if he's ready for you and he knows how to defend himself, chances are that ain't gonna happen. Well, what would happen if I hit her with everything I could? You know what this makes me want to do? Just seeing him gloat. Look at these pictures. Look at the way he's looking at her. This is her first. She gave up. First punch, she gave up. She said she'd never been hit this hard in her life. He hit her so hard that nothing she's ever done in competition had prepared her for that. Meaning, no other woman she's ever been in the ring with has ever hit her as hard as this guy did with his first cross. And he was gloating. Now, I can't show the video because YouTube's just getting rid of it. They don't want any of this evidence. As a matter of fact, I'm having a hard time finding the video online now. There's two things I wanted to show you guys. One was the opening of the Olympics, and I got my thoughts on that. And then the second was this video, but YouTube's just getting rid of it, so that's why I'm just showing pictures. But essentially, a trans woman, biological male, beat up this girl. Like her father just passed away, and she was doing this fight for him. So what you're seeing here, that face that's crying, that is absolute despair. That is somebody's dreams. She did not even get a chance. She lost her shot because they paired her up with a dude that had already been kicked out of a world competition for pretending to be a woman. He got kicked out of I was reading the articles. There's several of them. I'll provide links below. But they already moved this guy from competition because he was pretending to be a woman, and they had to test him. And now he's in the Olympics. I can't believe that we are allowing this to happen. We should boycott the Olympics. I'm boycotting the Olympics. I'm a dad. I have a daughter. She competes at boxing. This is personal to me. This, to me, is a travesty. This makes me, all 230 pounds of me, want to put a wig on and hop in the ring and just batter this mother unrecognizable. You know what I'm saying? You want to play those games? All right, I'm gonna slap a wig on and I'll put a skirt on and I'll get in there with you and let's see what you got, buddy. And I will not stop. I will slap that smile off his face. That's what it makes me want to do. You know what I mean? And I just can't imagine being a dad. Like, well, her father passed away, and that makes it even worse because she was dedicating this fight to him, and he hit her so hard that she gave up, and now she's crying in the ring, and people are like, "Oh, he hit her so hard, she's crying." No, she's crying because she lost her chance to even compete for her father who just passed away. That is despair. That is what despair looks like. And the Olympic Committee allowed this to happen. I don't even really necessarily blame the male athlete. I don't even know what you want to call him. Whatever. I don't necessarily blame him, but I do, and because it's immoral for him to want to even put people in that position. Now, we can make the argument about like what's fair competition, and we could have these discussions, but we're already doing it before the debate has been settled. And if this doesn't settle the debate for you, I don't know what to tell you. We've been saying it for years. Men have physical advantages, and you can take away, I don't know, think about it like your dogs. You know, big dogs, you can neuter. We neuter our dogs at birth, right? So that's essentially, I don't know, maybe that's not a good example, but essentially, yeah, you're removing the dog's ability to produce testosterone when you take his dangle away. And what happens? Male dogs still get way bigger than the females. Normally, yeah. I noticed that dogs that have been neutered don't get maybe nearly as muscular as they would if they weren't. But they're still like, my wife's into St. Bernards. And those male dogs are still 100 pounds more than the female ones. Her two female dogs were 130 pounds. The father was unsnipped, obviously. He was 200 pounds, but it's not unusual for the male dogs to get close to 200. So I'm just saying, what I'm saying is that generally speaking, in nature, and well, that's not true. There's a lot of like praying mantises would be a good one, where women are obviously, they eat the they do the thing and then they eat dad. Spiders, same thing. We're not spiders, we're not arachnids. Mammalians, generally speaking, the males are larger, the more aggressive. The hyenas would be one where the females were their matriarchal. So there are some examples where the female species are more physically able than the males, sure, but generally speaking, across the board, how many examples can you think of where the male of the species isn't much bigger and much more physical? So when it comes to combat sports, why are we even having this discussion? You understand that you're putting lives at risk by advocating for this. You could get your daughter killed putting her in a ring with somebody that she's not prepared. She said she had never experienced a punch like that before, ever. So not knowing what to expect, most women can't hit that hard. Can't. Like, they could throw everything they got at you, and they cannot hit you that hard. So she would not be mentally or physically prepared to be hit by me if she didn't know how hard I could hit her. And that would put somebody at danger. It's the same argument like, UFC uses it all the time, and I think it's a little hyperbolic. When they lose fights and the guys pop on drug tests and they're saying, "He put my life at danger, putting me in there with a man on steroids." Okay, I don't know. But if they can make that argument, if two dudes who are professional fighters used to fighting other men can make that argument, I would certainly think that putting a dude in a ring with a woman, when you can clearly see in the video size, musculature, definition, height, reach, he had every advantage in the world. And it's just unfair. Like this, she probably trained her ass off to get to, just to make the Olympics, let alone win something. Just her being there. And she didn't even get to compete. You can say, well, she threw in the towel. Yeah, okay. You get blasted by a Mack truck. Yeah, can you blame her? And it's just unbelievable because they're not gonna vindicate her. They're not gonna go back and allow her to redo it. No, she's gonna take the L, and now she's gonna have to. This is gonna be a question in the back of her head for however long. I don't know if she'll compete in 4 more years. If the Olympic Committee doesn't change, I wouldn't. Absolutely not. What's the point? this whole trans thing, it is like, answer me this. Why do you only see it in one direction? Why is it men that have become women competing against women is the debate, but you never hear about women competing against men? Ever. Name one. Find me an article in the news. There's got to be one. I'm sure there is, but I haven't heard about it. You don't hear about it the other way. And they themselves argue that there's no difference. Okay, then make an open division. Just get rid of all classes. Why do powerlifters have weight classes? Why do they separate us by age? Because it's unfair. There's a guy my weight, 220 pounds, in his 20s, is going to be expected to lift more than me. I'm 50. Now, there's genetic outliers. There's freaks of nature. I'd like to think I'm borderline. I'm not quite freak of nature, but I'm up there. I'm up there in the genetic outlier part of the bell curve, where it is very unusual for a guy that weighs 220 pounds, my age, that's able to lift as much as I do, because if you go down the list of people that are competing at my age, the scores drop off rapidly, and I'm at the very, very top of the world, and that's with my pathetic mid 1,600 pounds total. There's guys my age in the open division that are lifting 300-400 pounds more than me, and that's just the way it is. And then forget about weight. Add weight classes to that. What's my point? It's like, when I compete, I cross enter. I cross enter into the open division, and I do that knowing I'm gonna lose. I have no illusions that I will win. Why do I do that? Well, when I'm competing in local meets, I can still win best lifter, and why not? Like this last competition I had the best total at the meet. As it turns out, it was a local meet, and I was number 1. So why not? That's kind of cool. Like, yeah, it doesn't mean anything, but it's still neat. Like, the old man had the best lift, and there was over 100 lifters there. Hell yeah. So I cross-enter for fun, knowing that I'm not going to, generally speaking, place or win. And when I do place or win, it means that much more to me. But I compete masters for a reason. I compete at 220 for a reason. If you knowingly put yourself, if you decide to get in the ring with somebody, and that's happened before. There's been trans fighters, women that have knowingly gotten in the ring with other, they knew what they were getting into. They approved of it. Most of the outcomes were not in their favor, I can tell you, from what I've seen. There's a lot of weird stuff that goes on in Russia. I think, what was it, Eddie Hall recently fought 2 dudes. I don't know who sanctioned that, but you can see a lot of stuff like that. But no, they're, in those instances, a little bit different, because, if I agree to do something, if I agree to compete against heavier lifters, if I agree to get into younger guys, that's on me. But if they were to, stack the competition where I didn't know, and they destroyed all the hard work and effort I'd put into it, I'd be a little miffed. And what are we talking about? We're not putting my life in danger. Now this, I just don't understand. I don't understand the argument. I don't understand why we keep having this argument. And I don't know how much more evidence you guys need to see. But this just needs to stop. It's just, especially on the world stage, we need to boycott the Olympics. I would pull everybody up and just leave. Yeah, I understand, all those people that worked really hard to get there, and they're not, are you the type of person to just, drag up and leave out of principle? But I can tell you right now, I'm not watching it. I'm done with it. From the opening, all I had to do was see the opening ceremony to realize there was nothing there I wanted to participate in. I don't understand this. We live in a clown world. We do. I don't know. I don't know what else to say. I gotta get back to work. My lunch break's over in about 4 minutes here. See you guys on the battlefield.